Morning, everybody. It is Houston Day, 7/13/713, Monday, 13th of July, 2026. Celebrating Houston's first area code for our telephone numbers. Um, Doing some housekeeping out here in my storage container, and taking a quick breather. Figured I would lay some seriousness on you guys. So I am almost 55 years old. 15 years ago, I turned 40, and a very important life change happened in my life. And I decided at that moment that I really didn't want to be really, really fat anymore. And yeah, you're going to say, well, what you doing, Big Daddy? You're fat now. Okay, yeah, I'm fat now. But at the age of 40, I embarked on a weight loss journey. No surgery, no cheating on it as far as, using modern medicine or anything. I went on a weight loss journey, and in 18 months, a little over a year, I lost 300 plus pounds. And this was it was a change of eating. It was, I wasn't overly athletic. In fact, in my research, the active nature that was my job, cleaning swim pools and maintaining swim pools, I did not need to work out. And my results basically, told me about that I was doing right. And during this weight loss journey, because it was a change of eating patterns, and because of fat stores hormones and this, that, and the other, when I was losing fat at an alarming rate, according to most of my nutritionalist friends, it dumps a significant amount of hormone into the body. Now, because of that hormonal dump, I went through a lot of what probably people would think of bipolarism. One minute I'd be sitting there happy as a lark. Next minute I would be literally sobbing in my post toasties, and I'm not a crier. And it was very, very, very unnerving for me. But because technically it was kind of a fast, I believe that I was granted not anything special, but I was given a series of visions by God Almighty, one of which I was able to write down. In fact, I was forced to write it down. In fact, I woke up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. in a cold, cold, cold sweat with just words and images blazed into my mind that I had to write down. And I literally left my bedroom at 3 in the morning, turned on the kitchen light, pulled out a notebook, and frantically wrote down what I saw and was reading in the words in my brain or hearing in the words in my brain. And it was crazy. And it was very Revelation-esque, according to the pastors that I've showed this to. It took me about 2 weeks to go through what it was written in my manic hen scratch that basically is my crazy, stupid handwriting to make it something legible. And then I ended up digitizing it. I hand typed the whole thing into a digital copy and sent it to several of my pastors at the time. And they can't really give me a lot of input about it. They just say it's very Revelation-esque. And so, and what can you really say about something like that? If somebody in your, let's say your social circle, confides in you something that they feel very strongly about, and you read it and, it's kind of troubling, to say the least. But what do you say about that? You don't really say a lot about it. Now, the second of these two, let's just use the word visions that I saw, I was not able to write down. In fact, the more I try to write it down in words on paper, the less vivid it actually comes across, to the point where I can actually write it down. It's weird. But when I talk about it, it's crystal clear, everything that I saw. And even now, 15 years later, it is as vivid as me looking out my window right now. So I'm going to see if technology will allow me to do this. And I'm going to regale you guys with what I saw 15 years ago in what I can only assume was a vision by God. If you want to read the other one, just leave a comment in below this, and I can send it to you. Leave the comment with your email address, and I will send it to you. Also, hey, I'm trying to build this platform. If you don't mind giving me a like to this, that'd be awesome. Not gonna beg, but hey, it would be awesome. Okay, now this is not poetic or anything else like that. I'm just going to tell you what I saw and how it translates, because I was actually given a translator during this vision. And it's very similar to what happened to Paul in Revelations. He was given all these visions, and then he was given an angel, at least he describes an angel, that translated everything. Well, I didn't have a part two. I had a translator right then and there telling me what was going on. So, basically, in this vision, I'm flying. And to the left of me and to the right of me are two angels. And off in the distance, I see a huge mountain. Mountain so huge that I can't even see the peak. And I'm not flying, inches from the ground. I am basically up in the clouds flying. And I cannot see the top of this. And the angels, they actually point at this mountain as our destination. So we're continuing to fly, and the closer and closer that we get, I see that the mountain is not a natural phenomenon. It's not like, mountains nowadays, you walk up, you see them in the distance, and it's just like a huge mountain that's just erupting from the ground into the heavens. No. This mountain is more of a pile of rocks. And which is the only thing I can actually describe it as at that time. And the closer and closer we get, the more defined these rocks get. They're not just, mishmash of different size rocks and stuff like that. We get all the way up to the foot of the mountain, and I'm just in awe of how tall this mountain is. I've never seen Everest other than some pics and stuff like that, and don't plan on ever seeing Everest, but I can only assume the sheer majesty of the size of this thing would rival Everest. It's kind of like, that whole, you can't really fathom the size of the Grand Canyon until you're actually standing on the edge of it and looking at it. I mean, you can look at it pictures all day long, and it's just, But this mountain was a mountain of what I could define at that time was terracotta statues. Each one of them different, kind of like, the terracotta warriors that they found in China, where every warrior was different, different weapons, different face, different size, different shape, different height, all that stuff. Boys, girls, all males, females, everything was actually on display in this mountain. It was a pile of terracotta people. All ages, all sexes, all state of whatever they were doing at time of death. And it was told to me that this was at time of death what they looked like. And the thing is that every one of these terracotta statues was broken. And I don't mean they were shattered. I mean, every one of them at some part of the body or head of these statues had what I can only define as you know roughly what the size of a softball is. It's bigger than a baseball. It's not a cantaloupe or anything else like that. It's about the size of a good sized navel orange. Was busted out of every one of these statues. Some in the shoulder, some in the head, some in the face, some, the leg, or wherever it came out of, or what came out of it, or what happened to it, was somewhere on that body, and then the hole was roughly the size of a softball. And I was instructed by these angels to look into the holes of several of these statues. So I walk up and I notice that the statues that are here down on ground level were roughly clothed, toga stuff, robes, stuff like that. And so forth and so forth. But I looked into the holes and I was actually able to see. I mean, it wasn't like me looking into a dark hole. I was granted some kind of light to allow me to see into these statues. And inside of the statues was basically a nightmare. Blades, jagged glass, just, you know, Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street kind of something that you don't want to be near or in. Just the, kind of what, an Iron Maiden you think would look like. You open it up there, every bit of it is covered with nails and such. That was the inside of these terracotta figures. And it was just insane. I mean, what it was. And I was told by the angels that these terracotta statues were the sin scabs. Basically, when we were first created, we were in a immaculate form. We were very spiritual creatures back then. We had no real skin to us, which is why we were basically, as the angels or as spirit, we were a spiritual creature at that time. And it's actually recorded in the Bible that, once we took of the apple or the forbidden fruit, whatever you want to call it, we recognized that we were naked. Well, what ended up happening is as when we sinned against God and partook the fruit, our spiritual body became cocooned in sin, which is flesh. There are numerous passages in the Bible describing flesh as weak. Flesh is subject to temptation. Flesh is corrupt and things like that. And they're not meaning that, just as a general thing that flesh is a bad thing. When our skin is, they're not talking about our skin, but they are talking about our skin. The skin that we see every day is a cocoon of sin. And inside of that cocoon, with each passing sin that we actually commit, produces a new torment to the spiritual body inside of us. We've now began to call that the soul or the spirit. And lots of people wonder, why is it that man is so corrupt? It's because the spirit is the spirit is willing, but the soul is weak. I mean, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. It likes sin because it is the badge or the mantle that is our sin. And once we die, that spiritual body of us is finally permitted to leave the prison that is our flesh. And it erupts out of the flesh in the baseball, softball size hole in that statue. And what that mountain represents is every human being that has been since original sin, which is why the ones closer to the bottom were, crudely covered in clothing of some kind, animal skins, crude fabrics, textiles, things like that. And then we go into togas and stuff like that. If this is true, that our soul is basically in a giant Iron Maiden created by each nail inside the Iron Maiden is created by each individual sin that we do, the sin of whatever, pride, lust, vanity, rage, wrath, the big seven, and things of that nature. How many nails or how many torments are in our terracotta statues? Think about it, guys. Let's roll.